Tom, what's the mood like in the camp now, knowing that you've got to win this game?
Yeah, really exciting. Number of us have been together for a while now. Really familiar with each other in this environment. Comfortable. All the pressure is obviously on us. That was the way you phrased that question then. And we were embracing that. Preparation for the week's been rock solid, as it has been for most of the week since I've sort of been back in this environment with Joe. And we're not letting the sort of external hype sort of get the better of us.
What does it? How does it feel knowing you've got Valentini and Skelton back in the pack? Yeah,
it's good to have my roomie back. He, I think everyone in the room, everyone in the rugby circles knows what Bobby brings in particular. Just speaking on him, and then the other bigger fella that comes back for us, Will. His resume speaks for itself. A really calm head, won multiple things in the Northern Hemisphere. Obviously a larger than most frame. So we're pumped to have Will and Bobby back for sure.
Angus, for you, like when you look across, I mean, not to take away from your teammates who were there beside you in Brisbane, but with Will and Bobby there, it's a big boost, I guess, in one.
Yeah, for sure. We know what Bobby and Will bring. As Roddy touched on, that calmness, I guess that leadership and also experience as well. But they're great people to have in your team, and obviously they've got a big job to play, as we all do this weekend in this clash, and we're all really excited. And I guess as Roddy said before, our preparation's been really consistent, and we're really looking forward to the weekend.
Tom, Joe's been like short-term focus, talking about like every training session and so forth, winning that kind of moment. As a player, how hard is it though to not kind of know what the enormity of what a win could do when there's 90, 100,000 potentially there and a lot more people watching on? What could it do to the group and also rugby by winning?
The goal to win every week is the unspoken one, I suppose. We're sort of probably more, as you alluded to already, we're probably more the steps taken in order to achieve a win. So Joe speaks about that. Like if you start looking too far ahead here, you're gonna, you might fumble, you may trip over multiple things in order to achieve what we're all set out to do. So I really like the sort of the dialed-in look that we sort of take in terms of our preparation each week. You touched on the 90 or 100,000 people that are going to be there. That's incredible, but it's something that we know that a sea of gold's massive support for us, and it helps us win. But for us, like on a Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday afternoon sort of preparation, it's very external for us. So I don't know if that necessarily answers your question, but that literally is the way that we approach the week, and it's not just something that we say that we do. We actually put it into action.
Tom, can you tell us a little bit more, mate, about that step-by-step, like training session to training session?
Yep.
I guess how that kind of operates.
Well, we train on Monday, and then we train on Tuesday, and then today we trained again. But like on Monday afternoon, we're already not looking at Tuesday afternoon, if that sort of makes sense. So like the team obviously isn't selected on Monday or Tuesday yet. So guys are obviously jostling for position. We're obviously looking at our review preview, looking at ways to get better, looking at ways to sharpen our skill set. So if you're trying to play the game that is played at the MCG on Saturday afternoon this week or Saturday evening this week, but we're only at Monday morning, you're starting to sort of look too far in advance. So all the way from Joe, Chrono, Laurie, ET, like we've got a sort of a large variety of coaches. Jeff, obviously in the line-out space that I don't sort of venture into too far, but like they're all here to actually try to make us better, the day-by-day sort of stuff, if that answers your question. Obviously collectively you guys see the Saturday evening result or the performance, but trying to actually incrementally get a little bit better, even in the gym. Make sure I mention the S&Cs, get a bit sad, but that's the sort of the bigger picture look at it, I suppose.
I guess what's it like having Will in the scrum? Like, how does it feel different?
It feels, I guess, as you guys could imagine. He's a big lad, and obviously, unfortunately, I don't get to pack down with him. He's predominantly on the right side, but from what Big Al says, he's he's very important to us, both in the scrummaging arena, which is as a pack, but also the mauling aspect as well. He's a high quality mauler, obviously huge, strong, and obviously being with La Rochelle for so long and with the Wallabies, that experience he has around mauls and what to do in those areas is really valuable for us. So again, it's next man up mentality, and Will do a job for us, and we're all just preparing as individuals to do our jobs and then to come together collectively and put it all together and back each other up.
What are the things he brings back when he comes into camp from those times in Europe? Because he's won so much and had so much success against a lot of the team that are playing against you on Saturday.
Yeah. No, look, Will's first and foremost, he's an awesome bloke. He's a good man. And yeah, he has won a lot and achieved a lot over there, which has been awesome for him to bring back for younger guys like myself. So no, he's been awesome. And the greatest thing about our group is that anyone that joins just adds. So he's been great. And also, as we touched on before, Bobby coming back too. He's really good scrummager and mauler too. So it's only going to add to the team.
Tom, what does he add around the place, like away from the field? What's he like?
I think the nutritionist mentioned the bill went up a little bit in the cafeteria, but he's obviously he captained at the World Cup, and that wasn't by lucky dip. It was because a really good leader of men from top to bottom in terms of age, experience. Some of the Islander group and non-Pacifica players as well sort of has such a good friendship through, as I mentioned, top to bottom, from left to right. So for someone to come externally in from the group in such a short window, it's pretty incredible to see him come in and gel, quite jovial around the group. He actually forgot his debit card, so he's been leaning on a few of the boys to shout him lunch, which has been hard and expensive. But yeah, he said he'll pay us back, so hope for fingers crossed to see what happens.
A decent contract in France, so he'll be all right.
Oh, he hasn't mentioned that, so we'll see what happens.
Billy, you were part of the bench crew that finished the game well, won the second half. Like, can any of that actually flow through, or is it just a completely different experience now on Saturday?
Yeah, definitely. Look, as you mentioned before, I think rugby's changed a lot in the fact now that it's a 23-man game. You can't just play 50, 60 minutes well and then finish poorly. So we know as a group that we need to be good all over the park. And as you said before, some of the blokes that came off the bench were really good and did their job really well. And that's what we look for when anyone's selected in the Wallabies 23. To be in that 23 is always an honour, and look, we're looking to, I guess, repeat that, but go even further again, and we've still got lots to work on from the bench perspective. So we're looking to do more of the same, but again, take it a level up.
Tom, how thrilled are the backs to get another go, sort of 9 to 15 there, and what areas do you think you guys can improve on this week?
Ideally, we can. Oh, look, no stranger to Northern Hemisphere football. We know the aerial raid that's coming again, ball on foot, the way we can nullify that, get numbers behind the ball again. We saw a couple of instances where we're able to shift the ball away from that sort of aerial threat or crumbs, and we can find a little bit of space that sort of unravelled for us in the Test 1. So if we're good enough to take those opportunities again, that'd be nice. And ideally, we sort of work a little bit more collectively, in particularly early in the game, which would be good to get some of our guys involved. And obviously we saw what Jorgo did when he took his opportunity in the air in a one-on-one battle, which was really pleasing to see a young guy who's been working really hard at that, and transfer some stuff that we saw in Super Rugby as well. So Potts wasn't afforded the same amount of opportunities, but I think if he's not the best, he'd be one of the best chasing in the air wingers through Super Rugby Pacific that we saw. So I know he's got that ability when his chances come too.
Do you think a 6'2" bench leaves you a little bit susceptible if a centre goes down?
I don't think so. I think we've got flexibility right through. Hadn't put much thought to it, to be fair. I think we're so flexible, right? We've seen Lenny and Sue obviously interchangeable there. We've seen guys play sort of mix and match through. We know how good Tatey is if he has to play anywhere in the backs for a stint if he needed to. But I think up front, we could be susceptible the way you phrased it, or we could really bring another edge to our game if we've got another forward to come on and add that sort of physicality and aggression up front.
Tom, what have you seen from Joseph this week? Obviously, I mean, he's only played a handful of tests, and was he quite hard on himself after the game? And there's some sort of commentary that he didn't get as involved as I guess people might have liked, or what have you seen from him?
I didn't see any of that commentary. From Joe, or from Sue as we call him. I've seen the exact same as I've seen every other test week, an ultimate professional who, when he first joined us just before the spring tour last year, prepares the same, if not potentially better, or some sort of minor changes that he does, carries himself extremely well. Was he disappointed in the first test? He would have been as disappointed as all of us were. I was disappointed, Bailey was disappointed because we lost as a team. So are we all looking to get each other involved a little bit more? Absolutely. So that'd be one of the things that we're trying to sort of push into the week and carry into Saturday night for sure.
With Will and probably having one less jumper in the line out, do you guys look to continue to try to keep the ball in rather than touch?
Not so much discussed. I think without being in the line-out meetings, I think Will's good at other things. I've seen him jump before though, so don't discount him. I've seen him in the air, he's pretty good. He's heavy, but he's good.
With the rain that's expected, do you think it'll be a different type of game than what we saw in Brisbane?
Yeah, potentially. Test match footy can be 1 or 2 moments, right? That adaptability on the run, if it is dry, if it is wet. A number of us have played enough games now, in particularly with each other, to know the footy nous and that test match mentality as opposed to Super Rugby or whatever level football we're playing. But someone like Willie, a really good guy to lean on in terms of just mindset around that sort of stuff. Can we control the rain? No, but can we control what we do in the rain? Absolutely. So shift in mindset, but no point really worrying about it so much now, but definitely a thought or a conversation's been had for sure.
Angus, coming out of that First Nations and Pacific game, the way that they really met the team head on, that they, the physicality, aggression, they were really kind of fired up, like that Joe mentioned about being submissive, at the start of the game. Can you see that could be a way to sort of settle the lines? Get yourself into the game a bit earlier?
100%. But as Wright touched on, we've got a plan as a team, and we'll keep getting better at that. But it was awesome to see those guys do so well. Obviously, as you know, we had a lot of squad members that went back and played for the First Nations Pacifica team, and it was obviously really. We went out and watched it, which was awesome, and we were really proud of them. They put up an awesome performance. They didn't quite get the chocolates, but they were competitive through the whole time. Really combative, really physical, and obviously their team changes a lot too through Tuesday game to test match on the weekend. But look, I'm sure most of the boys would have seen that in their performance as we all watched it. And look, we know as a team, if we stick to what we say we're going to do and do that on the weekend, we'll be in good stead.
Do you think we sometimes overcomplicate the game? Bear in mind, the FMP boys only have, 4 or 5 days together, and probably were the strongest opposition that the Lions have come up against in the tour games. Is there maybe a message there that actually sometimes, let's just hold it back a little bit?
Hold back what a little bit?
In terms of, going overboard with the analysis and whatever, and actually trusting you guys and your rugby smarts to go out and play.
One of the things you just mentioned was the intensity and the physicality that was played with, I think, for sure. I know as a spectator of that game, watching a whole heap of teammates and friends from other Super Rugby clubs that played, it was definitely something that we noticed. Bringing the physicality in any game is always going to put you in with a chance, right? And they got more than just a chance. They were right in that game. And I've heard a couple of Lions players mention in their post-game about how physical the game was, how they brought it to them. Potentially they weren't so expecting that so much. from the First Nations Pacifica boys. But yeah, if there's anything to learn from it, go out guns blazing. It's going to give you a chance, I think.
Have you given any thought to what it would be like? Because obviously you need a win Saturday. Have you given any thought to what it would be like at the MCG with thinking close to 100,000 people? Just the whole event and the night, about what it would be.
Just the spectacle of the game itself. I think I mentioned before to Chris's question around not so much thinking about the full game and how there's going to be so many people there, but understanding they're going to be there, and how loud that'll be, and how in 10, 15 years time will I look back on this game? Absolutely. Probably never going to play in front of 100,000 people again, but yeah, the enormity of the game is what it is, but we've just got to focus on the actual game. External noise will be there, try our best to block it out. Hopefully there's more gold cheering than there is red. That'd be nice.
Tom, how tricky is it covering backfield with Finn and Russell there? Like, he's got all the tricks, short, long, kicking game. Is it pretty stressful at that?
He's pretty good, isn't he? He keeps me on my toes. They've got a number of kicking options. James Lowe's left foot is a bit of a handful too. Keeps me sort of second guessing, and they put him in positions to sort of pull me in either direction, and they try to take the best option. But yeah, definitely crafty player, and sort of, in particularly when ball goes to ground and there's scraps and it's not off a structured start, can be difficult. So yeah, we just got to be right up for the contest, and balls on the ground. If we can dive on it before that it eventuates, there's opportunity for us to sort of strike as well.
I think at the start you just touched on the character and I guess the backs to the wall situation you're in. Is this a great chance to show what this team is all about?
Did I say backs to the wall?
That's my.
Oh, yours.
first,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. I mentioned at the start around preparing for the game the exact same way every week, and that's something that Joe and the staff have done. If we start thinking about do or die or backs to the wall, to use your term, I think external added pressure that's probably unnecessary. I think, are we trying to win the game last week? Absolutely. Are we trying to win the same game that we're trying to play this week? For sure. Next week, are we going to try and do the same thing? Absolutely. But are we thinking that far in advance? Probably not. No. So I know, speaking for the playing group and the way that we sort of prepare ourselves, even without the coaching staff sort of pointing us in the right direction, that's the mentality that we're taking, is like, do we want to be more aggressive and throw more punches in this game? Absolutely. But it's not because our back's to the wall. It's just because that's how we want to play.
Tom, have you played on a round stadium like the G, mate, and have not that changed your kind of kicking outlook, and I guess how important tomorrow to get a good look at it?
I have played on a few round stadiums. I think I've definitely played Marvel, Adelaide Oval and the SCG. Don't know how many more rounder stadiums there are in Australia. A little bit, mate, but we get a good feel of it when we get out there again tomorrow. They're pretty good these days with, they try to, obviously the field is set the way it is, but they sort of try to set it as a little bit of a rectangle in terms of outside the lines as well. They have the signage and all that sort of feel, but oh mate, when you get out there, it is what it is. Like, it's not going to change once the first whistle goes. But that's what, you get a really good feel tomorrow. Captain's run, kickers will stay a little bit longer, nudge a few extra or whatever, but I'll barely try to nudge a few sometimes too. But a little bit, not massive changes, mate, to be frank with you.
Tom, how's the adjustment been with Tom coming to the side, having played with him so much, particularly receiving kicks and positionally?
I think Tommy's brought his own little swagger that he's got at the Reds. I think I've admired that about his game for a little while. He's got like a slight sort of subtle confidence about himself. I think we're going to see more and more of that ooze out of him the more comfortable he becomes in the jersey, in that starting 10 jersey. So what Tommy does have is an incredible skill set that we've all got to back around him and continue to pour confidence into him, because we believe in him and the skill set that he does have and the game plan that he's sort of driving from within. But yeah, mate, to touch on, you asked about Noah. Yeah, really shattered about Noah and the combination that we've had for a while at the Brumbies, and then obviously in the Gold last year as well. But Noah, even being in camp last week, a few small conversations I was seeing eventuate, and being in particular in our back space, trying to add his 2 cents worth around what he sees and feels, and helping Tommy. Yeah, it was a cool sort of passing of the torch, at least for the short term, at least with his neck injury. So yeah, we got real belief in Tommy though, and what he can bring to this side for sure.
Just in terms of
Last couple, thanks, guys.
Just in terms of upping the aggression, is there any kind of need to take a sense this is a once in 12 year event? It just kind of felt a bit in Brisbane. There was all the electricity at kick-off, and that maybe went a little bit flat when you sort of slid out to quite a heavy deficit early. I mean, is there any talk among you that this really is a once in a career opportunity potentially?
Slips will tell you he can do it twice in a career, would you believe? Without rinse and repeating what I sort of just mentioned to this side of the room, or to all of you, but to one of the questions over this side, like the preparation and understanding that it is what it is. It was the backs against the wall question. Like, are we going to try and do anything extra? No, we've just got to be better at what we try to do. Yeah, absolutely. So, like, as part of that, being more physical, being more dominant in the tackle, running the ball harder, all those things that come part of the game. Yeah, for sure. Like, because all those things help you achieve a win at the end of the game. So, it's a little bit vanilla to answer your question, but that's just the reality of it for us. Yeah. But it is a once in a 12 year, absolutely very, very cool event. Not trying to downplay that at all, but yeah, moment by moment sort of stuff for us.
Some coaches stick like posters and newspaper clippings and so forth around going, when being slammed or whatever. Doesn't seem like a Joe Schmidt kind of way. Like, do you like that? Like, as other coaches, have you found it effective when that's happened?
I have a real passion. I have a real passion for the game, but I also have a real appreciation of the way that Joe coaches this group. I think he knows exactly what the group needs, in particularly picking up quite a young group last year, being able to carry it through, obviously, again into this year. Yeah, and I think we're absolutely all in on the way he coaches because we all believe in it. So, yeah, none of that sort of external stuff. You mentioned putting stuff up. No, it's not part of the way that he does things, but what he does do is drive individuals for stuff that we can control in our own backyards or forwards, backs, my own sort of game, Belly's own sort of game. But you can catch him. He does smile. I don't know if he smiled in here, but he does smile, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
On Joseph-Aukuso, how do you get the most out of him in a match? How do you bring him into the game?
I think the final hooter went. No, I'll answer. Yeah, Sue, how do we get the most out of him? Well, it's like any of us. Like, how do we get more ball? How do we be better in parts of the game where we don't get turned over so that we can pass in the ball, or we can pass Lenny the ball, we can get Jaw going, Potts the ball on the edge, can find space in behind so the forwards can front up and create some set-piece dominance for us. Like, we could sit here and say that we're just going to kick the ball high for Sue to catch. Like, he's got so many aspects to his game that he's really good at, to answer your question. But he's also the kind of player that will run the decoy line that you guys might speak about or whatever, and might get unsighted for someone else to score in the corner. He's a real team player, and he brings that in his preparation and his training because he's been at a high level for a number of years now. He knows the game's not just about one guy. There's obviously 14 of his teammates out there. And that's something that I've been really impressed with, a guy to come into a group and know that obviously a lot of eyes are on him, but he's so much bigger picture than that. So if we come away with a win this week, but no one's talking about anything special he did, he's absolutely stoked because we won.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.